Shenequa.
And I'm Andrea.
And you're listening to
So with this ring,
So here we are back again, episode 2. Before we jump into it, just are going over our regular, just trying to connect with one another, see how everything was going. So how was your week, Drea?
that's how my week was.
Okay.
It was all. I mean, it was all right. I mean, I think it would be better if the weather's better, but it was all
No,
right.
definitely.
It was
Yeah.
all right. That's what I could say. How about you?
No, I would have to agree. I'm definitely, I'm being a spring person myself, a spring baby. Like I would love to see a little bit more warmer weather
Mm-hmm.
compared to the weather that we've been having with the rain and the gloominess. And I think that just got a lot of people in like a funky kind of attitude.
Yeah.
So with that being said, yeah, I am definitely wishing for warmer weather. But for the most part, I really can't complain. Still working around the clock, like I know that you.
Yeah.
We both have like gotten new positions here, so it's just like we're always around the clock working late, and then having to work when we get off of work by
Mm-hmm.
having family and our kids and
And
stuff
other
like that,
projects that we do. So
and the projects that we do, with our businesses and stuff like that. Just trying to have uh some stability. So, hence why, we're a little bit delayed within our recordings, but not to worry, we'll be back as scheduled. So thanks for bearing with us and stuff like that. So just to recap our last episode, episode 1 for season 2, it was like, so what is friendship? So
Yeah.
you want to give them the recap.
I mean, so we talked a lot about what is friendship and how we each define what friendships are, and the difference between friendships and acquaintances. And a lot of y'all was hot on this topic and commented a lot, so we appreciate that. So just giving the spill of how you know who your friends are from the difference of who an acquaintance is. So a friend could be somebody that's gonna be your ride or die, an acquaintance somebody that you just talk to occasionally here or there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much,
Some friendly
nutshell.
chop it up
Yeah.
every now and again or whatever, but they're not like your ride or die, your right hand man, your ace, your boon coon, whatever it is that you want to call it. It's not the person that you, when you're going through something, that's not the first person you pick up the phone to call.
Exactly.
So it's definitely a huge difference between the two. So without further ado, we can go ahead and jump into episode 2, which is
Oh wait, I thought we. Oh no, we do have one announcement though before we go into it.
yes.
We are still taking donations for the
Yes,
Child Center
yes, yes.
of New York. Even though we had that time lapse where we had a certain month to do it, we are still collecting for the year actually.
Absolutely.
So definitely, you could click our link in the bio of our Instagram page, and it will take you right there to make a donation, as well as you could pass on the word to anybody because they appreciate all the donations that they received from us so far.
Absolutely. And this is what we mean, the difference between of a real friendship, because my girl over here caught me and to let me know, like, okay, wait, before we get into the episode 2, we do need to make that announcement. So that's a friend, that's going to be like, tack, tack, tack.
Yeah.
We still have something else to say. So thanks so much, girl, for
No problem.
making sure that we make sure we have that out there. But now we can definitely jump into episode 2 of season 2, which is, so who's in your circle of friends? So now that you all already know and have established the fact of the difference between a friendship and then what acquaintance is like, now how is it that you're starting to actually build or who exactly is in your circle of friends? And your circle of friends, from it can be a variation of different things. It does not have to be, it could be small but mighty, and it could be large and in charge. You know what I mean? You set that tone, you set that precedent. As far as for me and my friends, like I have a diverse group of friends. So it's never a situation where it's just one circle. I have multiple circles of friends that I just kick it off with. And it's not a matter of being, different in each group. It's just a simple fact that those group of people just basically, it's basically there to say, like, these are the people who are around you to be able to set the tone on your needs and your wants and things like that, or whatever, how you navigate and stuff like that. You could have a friend that's really solely off of books, and that's who you vibe with because you can talk about books and authors and things like that. Then you can have your turn up group of friends that's always down for the cause, wants to do the brunching, wants to go out and party, things like that.
Yeah.
Then you can have your your regular friends or whatever, which is kind of like chill mode. Want to go grab a slice of pizza, you want to go window shopping, you want to go shopping, things like that. So you can have a multitude of many different circles and things like that, but as long as there's substance there.
Yeah. So I think it's all, like I always say, is based on the mood, because you're going to have somebody that you want to turn up with. You're going to have somebody that you want to be, having that, I want to say, real down to earth talks that will give you the perspective that you need. So I always say it's based on the mood, because every friendship is different.
Absolutely.
It's not the same, because I cannot see you having, okay, I have my set circle that is the same. It doesn't. You have a set circle of people that's gonna bring out the best in you.
Right.
You have, if you have somebody that bringing out the worst in you, then you
Then
need to
they're not really
recheck
your
that. Yeah,
friends.
you're gonna have to recheck that.
Mhm.
But everybody should have a circle that's bringing out the best in you or pouring into you. I would
Exactly.
say that as much as you will pour into them.
Right.
So I'm the type of person I will pour into anybody. Like I literally do. I pour into anybody to encourage and uplift. So I expect the same in my friendships, and I get that. It doesn't mean that you have to talk to them every day either, because I think that's where we mentioned in the first episode, people get it twisted.
Right.
That in order to be your friend, that you need to speak to them every day. And
Right.
it's funny because it reminds me of a post that I saw running around on Instagram about friendships, where it talks about I guess being judgmental per se, because somebody's not calling you every day.
Right. What is that? First and foremost, like who, when, like at this. I'm jumbled with my words because I just don't understand like when exactly did we set that precedent that you have
and
to
that was
speak
being
to.
set, and that was being
Right.
said because some people need their alone time. Like
Right.
me, I was just telling my girl here, I said I'm the type of person now, and I said I think that comes, and I say that comes a lot with age as you get older and life changes that happens. Sometimes I don't want to be bothered, and that doesn't mean that I don't love my circle of people, any less. But sometimes I need that step back. And for me, sometimes I got to have that one-on-one. Yes. So that's why it's good to have the circle that you can get together and do your little things with. But sometimes it's good to have that separate one-on-one interaction as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that said, like having your circle of friends, there has to be a level of understanding. Not everyone is going to be the person that, like on that Instagram post, that needs to be spoken to every single day. If I can just shoot you a text like, hey girl, or I was just thinking about you, just wanted to talk to you, chop it up real quick. Now that I have like this free 15 minutes, then that's fine. Other people, they have like relationship where you just check in by sending memes. I have a couple of friends that's like that. We send each other memes in a DM and, just to make sure we cackle it up real quick. And then it's like back to business with work or whatever it is that we're doing. But if we do know, like if it's ever like a hardcore, like a real deal, like kind of like situation that we can pick up the phone and call at that moment if we really need each other.
And then sometimes you have those ones where you pick up and it's like you may haven't spoken for a while, and when you be on that phone or texting or whatever, it's like you never left.
Exactly.
So those are so those are the things that are important when it comes to that, and it's just knowing. And my thing is, sometimes your circle may change as you get older. Absolutely. Because sometimes you may outgrow certain people, or vice versa. So you can't even take that into context where it's like, what am I doing wrong or anything? It's just some people are in your life for a season or that time of growth that you needed.
Absolutely.
So therefore it's time to evolve. I always say that. I'm always the team of no meeting new people. But the people that I do meet and that I do keep around, they have uplifted and encouraged and inspired, and I try to do the same.
Right.
We still have a little bit of pettiness in us once in a while and may gossip here and there. And I don't want to hear nobody saying they don't gossip, because everybody does.
We do.
Everybody does. There's no shame in that and being petty. I'm the queen of petty. But she knows that too. But it depends. But it also depends on situations. But still, it's just finding that, I guess, the right people, or the right people that fit you.
Right. The right people that fit you, exactly. Yeah. Because everybody brings a certain piece to the puzzle. And that fits. So let's touch on that part that you mentioned, as far as people being there for a reason versus being there for a season, because I think that's important to know.
Yeah.
I think, like, even for me, and I'm guilty of it, like having people in my life that was there for a specific, season, and it's hard to let that go.
Yeah.
It's like you think about all the things in the moments that you've actually shared, if they were there for you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's kind of like you guys are moving, in
different paths,
and stuff like that. And so it's not, the friendship there is no longer compatible. So you just do have to have that conversation with them, or just sit down and really think about it and say,
or sometimes it wasn't really a friendship to begin with. True. I have had situations where I thought, certain individuals were my friend, and then situations that happened, the friendship dissolved, and it was like, was it my fault per se? No. Was it their fault? No. It was just that at that time, that was what was meant, in the state of what was needed.
Right.
But
both
now,
parties,
exactly. But now it's like, okay, no. And to me, at this point in stage in life is too short. So for me, it's like, okay, if we can't, and I can't remember what I told somebody. I think I told somebody, I'm like, listen, if we can't come back from certain things, then we would never peoples to begin with.
Absolutely.
That's how I see it. If I have a disagreement with a friend or any type of issues with a friend, and we can't come back from that, then we were never friends to begin with. That's how I see it. I could be
wrong. If I can't be open about my feelings as far as how I feel, and I feel as though that it's going to be blocked, or I feel like you're going to judge me, then was
Mm-hmm.
there really a friendship there to
Mm-hmm.
begin with? Or was we both just happening to be in that euphoric moment where it's just like,
Exactly.
girl, I like what you have on. I like what you have on too. Oh, like we go to the shopping at the same place. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that bond is formed. And
Yeah.
then you really think about it, it's like, is that the only time I really speak to you? Is when
Exactly.
we're talking about like fashion and stuff like that. Can I talk to you with
About
things
other
of
stuff.
other context, things that are a little bit deeper? And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I mean about having certain circles. Yes, you can gravitate towards a person for that one thing, but is that the only thing?
Yeah.
Like it has to be a little bit more deeper than that. You
No,
know
I
what I
definitely
mean?
agree.
Yeah,
Definitely
so it
agree.
just can't be just on one thing. Yes, this is what you vibe off of, great, but can you provide me with a little bit more substance?
Mm-hmm.
If there's no more substance, then I have to kind of shift you and place you into
Yeah.
that category as an acquaintance, because there's nothing more there except for that one thing.
Definitely.
But again, not to basically move away or navigate from the
Mm-mm.
way of having multiple circles, because you can. You can
Mm-hmm.
definitely have multiple circles that have substance,
Yeah.
and that's basically which
And you
complete
see
your
it.
personal
And
puzzle.
you see it because
Hmm.
there's not, I have, and I've seen this. I have not seen one, particular person hang out with the same. I mean, there's some people that you hang out with the same person all the time,
Hmm.
and that's fine. That's what you're gonna do. But it's always good to have that different set of people because they bring a different set of outlook or
Hmm.
perspective for you, as opposed to somebody that may be bringing the same thing.
Right.
So I do say it's always good to put yourself out there
And switch
for
up.
for different type of circles. Like you may have a circle just for social media,
Exactly.
your social media people that understand what you're trying to do and help you to grow that.
Hmm.
Then you have your group where if you're a married person, you have your married set of group for you and your partner that
Absolutely.
you hang out with, because that's to uplift and build your marriage.
Right.
And then you have the group with your mom friends. Like
Hmm.
I always say that's a big key thing to have a group of mom friends because and it's not throwing shade or blame. Somebody that may not have kids may not understand what you're
Absolutely.
going through. You could say you're going through something, but having that circle where you have somebody that you can identify with and understand and provide you some guidance and support and some emotional,
Right.
wellness into you
Exactly.
is good to have. So that's what we mean when we're talking about the different type of circles. Because you have your circle that you listen. I know this person I'm gonna call wants to party it up. Then I know I have this friend that enjoys going to museums, different like exhibits and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Then I have a friend that I know that just does not, is very anal and just likes to hang around me. So you have to think about those type of
Right.
things because you ever try to get a whole bunch of people together, you don't have. And this is another thing. Me and a friend was talking about this that recently hung out, and we was talking about that. It's nice to get together in group settings,
Hmm.
but you don't get to have that interaction with the person or people like you would on a one to one. So
Absolutely.
yes, it's good to have those, your tribe, your circle, but
Hmm.
it's also good to have one-on-one interactions and dates with your friends
Absolutely.
because you're able to have that one-on-one conversation as opposed to a group. A group, y'all are gonna be talking about general things,
Hmm.
or I may be talking to my girl right here, and another friend may be talking to somebody else.
Exactly.
So those are things to have too as well.
So I mean, it's always good to have that moment where you can share and be in the same room. But it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, will you be able to have the attention span to be able to mix it up with everyone there?
No.
The best way that I look at that, and the perfect example of that, is when you get married. You
Mm-hmm.
are invited everyone to whom you have been keeping in contact with for the longest amount of time, like your
Mm-hmm.
friends from like different walks of life and things like that. But at the wedding, do you have that opportunity, to go here and say, "Hey, Drea, how you doing?" and stuff.
Oh
And even
no.
if you do, it's for like a quick second
Second.
before you being pulled in another,
Mm-hmm.
direction, because of that being that
Yeah.
it is a wedding. So I look at that as that. In the perfect world, we would love for all circles to be able to sit down with one another, but it could be a mixture of different things.
Definitely.
Schedules don't work,
Yeah.
or if again, like what we touched on from before, this friend may not like this
It's
friend
fun.
for whatever reason, whether it's petty or whether if there's a reasoning behind
Or
it,
just
or
jealous.
it could be just jealousy too. And like
You know.
sometimes people just can't fess up to that, like
Mm-hmm.
having a friend and then seeing them interact with another friend is kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
what's that about? Are you trying to take my friend away from me? And I can't even say anything, because I used to think like that before when I was
Oh
younger.
my
And
goodness.
there's
Yeah.
certain situations where I'm just like, I don't like what's going on
Or
here.
yeah, or I used to think if I'm not invited, if I see people hanging out, like
Mhm.
people that I knew hanging out, and I'm like, I'm not invited, like, damn.
It does make you feel some type of
Yeah,
way.
it do. But then I was like, you know what? That's okay because I enjoy my peace and my free time where I get to do whatever. I tell people that all the time. I enjoy my peace and my free time. So
Mhm.
whether it's me doing my own thing or just selected, which friend I'm gonna hang out with. That's what I do.
And that's what we need to have an understanding. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because we do need to pull it back too. Not everything are we going, not every single event that's going to take place are we all going to be invited to.
Yeah.
So at the same time, with that being said, there's no reason for anyone to feel some type of way. I mean,
they do.
As human, right? Our feelings is always going to be like one of those things. So of course it's going to be a situation like, damn, I mean, I wasn't invited. I know everybody there.
Yeah.
But you don't know what the situation was. Maybe they couldn't have so many. Maybe those are the first people that responded in the line of text that they were going to send out. So we have to think about these things in like different ways to go about it.
And you have to think about it, not to cut you off. You have to think about it too. In those big interactions that you do, whether it's like a birthday or social gathering, stuff like that, you're not going to be able to talk to everybody. Exactly. And I know, and I think about that when I did, and I do them once in a while, when I do those gatherings, I do take the time out. I be speaking to everybody. I be like, hold on, you good? Ask everybody, thank you for coming. Okay, hey, how you doing?
But how tiring is that?
It is. It's exhausting.
It's a task in itself. So it's supposed to be a moment where you're supposed to be celebrating, having a good time and stuff like that. But if I'm getting up like, hey, Drea, how you doing? Yeah. Hold that thought. Let me go over here and talk to Sabrina or something like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's tiring. Like, so I can understand why, if you do have a large circle, you try to like have your moments with this set and this set and this set or whatever, because of the simple fact that it's just, do you really have the time? Yeah. Like if you're going out for like a brunch, and brunch is like what, maybe 4 hours max before you go to the next one.
Well, now it'd be 90 minutes at certain places.
Right, because you have like a certain amount of time before like the bottomless is over.
Yeah.
How much time do you really think that you'll have to sit down and talk to everybody? Single person? I mean, the best thing that will get out of that, where everyone feels included, is a group picture.
Yep.
Is a boomerang of like the in and out. Come on, because we know that happens. But we want that toast.
But it's also the type of setting you put yourself in too. I noticed that too, because I was so funny. I went out with a friend recently. We went to a nice place, and it was the perfect place to go to for us to have the conversation, where we ended up being there for a long time because it wasn't too loud. Because sometimes you'll get to places and you be like, listen, we got some good music. I'm not even thinking about y'all. I'm eating my food and jamming. So, you got to think about that too. And that's another.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think it's, when you're trying to plan things like that, you have to understand the vibe that you're trying to have. If it's really so much about just the drinking and listening to music where conversations are limited, then by all means, bring everybody. Whoever wants that same type of vibe, sure. Yep. But if it's going to be low music, kind of like an intimate affair where you're able to talk amongst with one another, then you may have to actually reassess and try to figure out like who exactly wants to be down for that kind of vibe. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying it's okay to have multiple circles. You don't need to have like one main circle and that's it, one main circle of friends, because at the same time, it's like those friends that you had from before may not be in the same walk of life as your other friends. So it's okay to have multiple ones. And stress the fact that even by you having multiple groups of friends does not make you any different. It doesn't make you fake or phony or anything like that, because I've seen that.
Oh yes, and it's not requiring you to be friends with each other either.
Right? No, not at all. If I was to say, let me go ahead and bring all my group of friends together, or whatever, then that's something that I choose to do, and it's also a choice for them as well. They could be like, no, I'm not really interested in entertaining additional people right now, and that's okay. Ooh. You got to respect that.
Yeah.
But it's not something for you to feel offended about. You know, at the end of the day, this is still going to be your friend, and you are not vibing with them any differently because of that.
And I make it very clear with certain friends that I have that I'm like, listen, you don't have to. If I make it, and it's not nothing, if I feel like the vibe and energy of your friend doesn't agree with me, I'll be like, listen, you don't have to bring me back or invite me to that outing. We could do something another time, and it's no shade, because you know why? I want to be able to be somewhere and be okay.
Right.
I don't want to be somewhere and faking it. If I know I'm not feeling it, because then it makes look at me stutter. It messes up the whole mood of everybody else.
Yeah,
and you don't want to do that. So sometimes if you feel like you're not in the mood, stay your butt home.
Stay home, or just be like, listen, I got something to do. Make something up if you need to.
You ain't got to make nothing up. Just say you're gonna tap out, and that's another thing. A part of it, your friends should understand. Listen, it may not work. Like I have certain friends, I know they cannot do group outings with other people that I just know. So I know I'm not going to put them in that situation. But me, I'm one of those people, and you have seen it for yourself. I'm kind of well-rounded. So you kind of can put me in those situations. Like, hey, I want you to come out, and I'm very sociable and I talk to everybody. However, I do let it be known.
She'll have her side commentary after the fact. Like,
I
listen,
sure
girl,
do.
let me tell you what
I will
happened,
be on my
things
best.
like that.
I'm on my best behavior.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you know your friend or whatever. There are going to be certain moments where a person is going to have to make something up. Like, hey, I got to cut out a little bit earlier.
Be like, oh, gotta go.
And stuff like that. And then hit you up on the side. And that's just a matter of just being respectful of everybody that's there. So that way it's not coming off like, why is she leaving? You know what I mean?
Because I gotta go. Be like, the best excuse now, I got a kid. Oh, my babysitter.
But you see?
My babysitter.
But that's not always the case. But it's good to have kids because that's like the perfect excuse.
Be like, oh, gotta go.
You know, I need to get home to the baby.
Wait. My husband gotta go to work. Sorry, see y'all later.
Gotta make sure he sleep. Gotta make sure hubby gets some sleep before his shift and things like that or whatever. But that's what I mean by it. It's just like gauging the room, having an understanding as far as when it makes sense to bring everybody together. That's why I was saying like the wedding would be a great excuse, or like if you're having a birthday, you know, and you want to invite everybody. You know, speaking of which, since my birthday is coming up, I'm just saying,
her birthday's
eventually, you know, you are gonna want everybody to be there because everyone is usually hitting you up, like, hey, what you got planned? Your birthday's coming up. Do you have anything planned and stuff like that or whatever? And you want everybody, to be there.
It's funny she mentioned weddings. I think weddings are interesting because you have to put my favorite word, because you have to figure out when you're doing tables eatings, like who should be sitting. Who, we're not even gonna go there. Well, who should be sitting where they need to be sitting, or who would mesh well together sitting? Because you may think you put in people that sit well with each other, but they don't. Just putting that out there.
Listen,
you don't.
And someone who has a wedding from before should understand that sometimes we just got to fill the seats, right? And hope for the best, right? But that's another conversation when we get into planning marriage.
Yeah, she wants. Yeah, because I can't wait to talk about that.
When we talk about wedding planning, we'll get there.
But still, that's if I choose to comment on that. But let's go back to the front part.
No, she will comment on that. That's the purpose of this podcast, to be transparent about certain things. But we're gonna get there. Bear with us. But let's bring it in. Bring it back in on the friendships parts and the circles. And
that part was part of that, meaning that not everybody that you may think would fit in the flow will work out. So in certain situations, situations, you would have to like really like
plan that out a little bit differently.
Not even plan out differently. Like for a person, for example, me, I have been to plenty of weddings and I have been sat at plenty of tables that I thought it would work out perfectly and it doesn't. Thank goodness my plus one is always somebody to conversate with, and then the plus one turns out to be everybody's favorite. But it does all the time. But I just learn how to deal in that moment. I'm like, all right, you know, because you'll always find one. It's like a gathering. You'll always find one person that you could click with. But, you know, it's still weird.
But side notes, when you go to a wedding, the idea is not to sit at the table the whole time. It's a place where you could sit down, eat your food, drink your drink, and then go to the floor. Because the purpose of you attending is so that way you can celebrate. Dance on the floor, not necessarily sit there somewhere to hang your coat. If there's coat check.
But you gotta socialize.
Still socialize. The main thing is that we want asses on the floor. That's what we want. We pay that money for a venue so that way people is dancing and not necessarily sitting at the table.
I'm gonna stop her bringing it back because she just taking it. But it was the point of what I'm saying, how you have to adjust yourself in the settings. She's taking it to the left because she knows why. But it's to adjust yourself in any type of social setting that you're being put into.
Right, exactly. So I know, like we have our circle of friends. And then she has her circle of friends, and I have my circle of friends or whatever out there. But that is just on the basis of how we vibe. And I want people to understand that it's the basis of the chemistry that you have with these people, which determines whether or not if these are your friends. You know what I mean? You just because of the simple fact that, yes, you only hang out with them, with these group of people, does not make them any less of a friend at all.
I always make a joke. I tell people I vibe so much with the older generation.
She has an old soul, people.
I do. And I vibe very well with the older folks. I do. It be on, I think. And it's like a happy medium for me. So it's like people that are in my age realm. But then it's like if I go younger, it does not work.
Right. And so she knows.
And I know that
are meant to be within her circle. Because there are certain things that she just cannot tolerate.
I can't.
And that's what you mean by knowing your friend. The thing is, you have to know your friend, right?
Yeah.
I know that there's certain people in certain situations
Mhm.
not to bring her around, because she's going to be like, now you know
No, don't.
that I don't need to be here. And that's what I'm saying. Just being an active listener and listen to your friend, like, or just observe.
If you don't want me making faces, you don't need to invite me.
Right.
And if you don't want me doing side commentary
Right.
and jokes,
Perfect example. This is a perfect example of friendships and how having different multiple, because of the simple, if I'm going somewhere that I know is going to be a bunch of little kids who probably, no, not a bunch of little kids, but like young acting kind of event and stuff like that, that's going to be listening to the mumble rap and things like that, I know for a fact I'm not inviting her. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that she's not my friend.
Exactly.
At all. I'm gonna like, listen, Drea, I'm not inviting you because this is the atmosphere and I know that this is not something for you. She's gonna probably be like, well, thanks, girl. Thanks for not inviting me there, because you know I would have had a whole issue for being there.
That's like when we went to, it's so funny, but we went to the event. When we went to the trap and thing, I re-thought about that.
The trap.
I thought about that.
But at the same time, we ended up having a really good time.
We did,
because of the simple fact of the music that they played. When they said trap and paint, was just like mumble rap, like
but it was
so that came to my mind. But as soon as we stepped in and we heard the vibe, and we're just like, oh, this is our vibe. We are there.
But I know I couldn't bring everybody to that type of thing because of the location. That's what I was thinking about.
The location was it was rough.
It was rough.
It was a rough location. Definitely a rough location.
It was a good time.
But it was definitely a good time. And the vibes were there. Like, everybody was there.
Yeah.
Everybody was chill. There was no issues.
There wasn't no issue or nothing.
There was
but
no
it was just,
fighting or anything like that. Even with the music being kind of like, we're talking about like the 99 into the early 2000s. It
was good. It was good.
Amazing music.
It was good.
Definitely amazing music. But the thing is, it's like everybody was vibing, doing, just chilling and things like that.
But you just think about certain things. When people see that, they be like, what? You doing what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always wondered about trap karaoke. I was like, I want to know about that. And then somebody explained it to me. And I was like, oh, that's what it is? I was like, no.
Pick your battles with your friends.
Yeah, like there's certain things that you like to do. So perfect example, like I would like to do certain things. Like I knew I like doing like those paint and sip type things. So I knew she would be down to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh, trap and paint, this is a twist. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to like this. And we did. But that's what I'm saying. Like certain things, like if you're telling me I'm trying to get something that I wouldn't like. Oh my God. Just something. I'm trying to think of something that I wouldn't like that if you would say, hey, you want to go? And I'll be like, no, don't do it. But then I'm the type of person, I'll do it because I know it's something that you like to do.
Yeah.
So I try to be open in those aspects. But if I
appreciate those friends that are like that. But at the same time, if you do know that your friend is just very particular and don't really like certain things, then I wouldn't force them to be a part of that.
So when it's time to go to eat, people always ask me to pick because I'm the one that be like, oh, let me look. But if you tell me this is where we're going, I appreciate you giving me advance notice because I will look up the menu so I already know what I'm going to order. So that's me. I won't complicate your life. I promise. Mm-hmm. But I am complicated in certain aspects. But I won't complicate your life, though. If that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense.
But that's how you know. But perfect example, if I was to be put in your circle, you would know. Like, I have to tell Drea this type of thing. I would have to let Drea know who's coming. Because I'm one of those people, like, who you invited.
Oh, she's
I am.
Who else is going to be there?
Who else is going to be there?
But I think everybody always asks that just to get an understanding of how the vibe is going to be. So that way they're not hit with any like surprises. Like I would appreciate if somebody was to let me know, hey, this person is going to be coming. Okay, that's great. I know,
and I do that all the time. I'd be like, listen, this is where it's at. Like I had a friend, I was like, listen, we're not inviting a certain friend because I just want us to chill out and do something because we haven't talked in a while. So sometimes you have to put those, set your boundaries too when it comes to that in the circle. Not all the time you're gonna want the same people. That's why it's good to have different circles.
Exactly.
Yeah,
definitely. Definitely. So with that being said, I guess the best thing that I can really say is that you know who your friends are based on your chemistry. You know who they are based on your vibe. And just because of the simple fact of you having multiple circles does not mean like, oh yeah, everybody's friend. Because I hate that. I hate that tone too. It's not a matter of being everybody's friend, but at the same time, if you are a social butterfly, or whatever, there's nothing wrong with being that. But at the same time, like, is there substance behind the friendship that
and that's true. And sometimes and I consider myself being a social butterfly, sometimes that comes to like bite you too. Because then in your mind, you think because you're that social person, that everybody is supposed to be your friend.
Absolutely.
But you have the hard realities that come about it, and then you realize that's not the case.
Right.
So it's a learning experience for everybody, and I will always say, do what works for you. We're just providing our own experiences, but do what works for you.
Yes.
And you know what works for you.
Yes. And also, with that being said, I know that we tend to make sure that we want to make sure all of our friends is good. Everyone is okay, that everything is going well. Not is it going to be, it's not going to always be a situation like, say for example, you bring everyone to the table, everybody is not going to get along.
Yep.
And for those people who are like optimistic and positive, like I'm very much so like that, thinking that, oh, if I love them, you're going to love them too.
No.
We got to break out of that habit, because that's not always the case. Who I really love may not love the other person that I really love too. Because I have a couple of friends that are like that. They've already told me, like, listen, if this friend is going to be there, count me out. I'll love you, and then you and we can do something separately, like on another day or something. It's not a matter of them being disrespectful towards the event I'm trying to plan. It's just so that for the simple fact that there is no negative vibes that is going to be at that particular event. She's laughing, and it's probably because of the simple fact she's been in those situations from before.
And I make it very clear, do not invite me if X, Y, and Z is coming, because I can't undo what the people done, and I saw it for myself.
Right. So I mean, that's the only thing. And all I have to say is just take that with a grain of salt. And do understand, like, yes, in a perfect world, we want everyone to mesh well together, but in the same time, in token, that doesn't normally take.
No, it doesn't. Place. It doesn't.
Because of it's just sometimes it's a battle of, like, I don't know, personalities. It can be a clash of that. Some personalities are very strong.
Women, we are the most interested. We're loving. We're crazy. We're petty. So when you try to put women together, sometimes it does not work. You try to have that united sisterhood. I always call it sisterhood. We call it friendship. I want to call it sisterhood, but sometimes the sisterhood can get a little bit broken and divided. Sometimes I need but it's like I said, it's doing what's best for you.
It can, because you know why? There's certain friends that that take people as property.
Yes.
And when that happens, that usually that person who's okay, that's my friend, automatically people's heads turns with the quickness, like okay, that's my friend too. What does that mean? Like, so it's kind of like
the territorial friends.
Territorial friends are, well, we definitely have an episode for that, because that has to be talked about a little bit more and in full detail, because that's a whole episode in itself about having a territorial friend. But for the most part, that's just my take.
Yep, same here. So I think
Andrea's take on how trying to figure out, like, who's in your circle, and just pick wisely. And at the same time, you don't owe anybody any kind of explanation as to reasoning as to why you are friends with that person.
Nope, we are too old to be doing that.
Exactly. If you like them, then that's great. If they are your friend for a reason, that's perfectly fine.
Listen,
you do not owe anyone an excuse or any kind of explanation as to why you are friends with that person. If they're curious and they want to know, that's fine.
You know what I say. You like it, I love it. Okay.
All right. We're bringing you cold stone vibes from ice cream. Like it, love it.
Yep.
All of that. But I'm good with this episode.
So am I.
All right, so we appreciate you, and I'm going to pass it over here because this is the part that my girl over here loves doing.
She just loves me doing it because I sound like a straight infomercial. But once again, we want to thank you so much for following us and supporting us. As you know, you can see us on many streaming platforms. I don't want to say many, all streaming platforms, which is Spotify, Anchor. Apple Podcast.
I got you, girl.
Yeah,
I got you.
Google
Podcast.
And my favorite of all that I always say we get to see us in a rare form is YouTube. And we have been definitely working hard on YouTube. So definitely like and subscribe. No, click the subscribe button, right?
Yeah, and thank you to our new subscribers. Yes. We want to thank you so much. We appreciate you. Again, we're just starting out with the podcast, so we still have a lot of things to learn.
And we appreciate the comments. Yes. We appreciate the comments all the time. We may not get to, respond back, but we see the comments, we see the likes, we see the posts, we see everything. So we appreciate you guys.
Listen, it's growing pains over here because we don't have like a whole entire team. We are the team. We are recording, we're editing. Well, not really so much editing, but we're making it look pretty with like the graphics in the background and everything. Everything that you see here, this is the team. We're making it happen here. So bear with us and things like that. And we honestly, we didn't expect that we were going to get here this fast. Honestly, with being in season 2. So we appreciate all of the new subscribers, all of our new followers, who we call our ringers.
Yep.
And then, same time, same place.
Yep, definitely.
So
until then.
Till then, bye.
Bye.
See ya.